All right, guys, let's get started. This is day one of the 10 steps to starting a business, actually. So I think I made it. What time is it now? 11:22 Central Time. So I'm late for my Easterners. But, oh well, here we go. So what the deal is, we are going to have actually 5 days I will do publicly on the A&E coaching group or my personal page. And then there will be 5 more days that I will do inside a closed group called All Things for Profit. So I am Kathy Jobe, for those that don't know. My company is called A&E Coaching Group. And the A is actually for awareness. The E is for empowerment. So basically, I believe that if you become aware of the resources, I do believe those resources are around us most of the time. We give all kinds of excuses of why we don't start a business or why we don't know, and you don't know what you don't know. I hear all that stuff. And okay, I mean, that's good and well, but I'm known for saying the library's always been open. Now we have the internet. It's no excuse. You can actually ask other people who are in the business. You do want to ask people that are successful in what you're trying to do, or at least they really can take you to that next level where you're trying to go. And then you actually going to empower yourself. You don't need anyone to empower you. Just knowledge itself and just taking that action. That's what will empower you. So just kind of give a little history of why I am doing this. I have been in business for some kind of business. So I'm a serial entrepreneur is what they call it. My background is actually nursing. A lot of times that was to supplement what business I was in. So around about 23, 24. So I started in a group home business here in Nashville, Tennessee. And it was for those mentally challenged, disabled, whatever the appropriate word is to say nowadays. And that's what I did. That's what my passion. I loved it. At least I thought I did. I still love it. I still would love to get into something like that. But it's changed. The game has changed. Now they call them personal care homes, and we've gotten way more complex than it used to be. So let me back up. I said each day is going to be 5 to 7 minutes. I can tell you this first day will not be 5 to 7 minutes because I need to give a little background, go a little bit more in depth. And this is probably going to be the biggest part or the biggest step that you'll take. Besides the business plan, this is actually part of the business plan. But before you even take a step into where you want to go, you want to conduct market research, as well as doing not connected good here, as well as doing a competitive analysis. And that sounds all woo so big, but it's really not. Okay. And I'm just moving around here so I can get a good connection. So basically, that's market research, and that helps you find the customers for your business. So if your business that you're wanting to do, it needs to solve a problem or be a need out there. Sometimes it's not important to do something new, but you don't want to go into a market that is just really, really saturated. You want to get into something. Actually, I talked to someone today, and as much as you love to do what you do, if nobody's or hardly anyone's willing to buy it, that's not going to be a profitable business for you. So it's all about profitability. I have been blamed for saying that I'm all about the money, but at the end of the day, if you're going to quit your job, if you have to build a legacy, if you want to support yourself, it takes money. Okay. So along with market research, you should include a competitive analysis, and that actually helps make your business unique. So what you'll do is, say you're wanting to open a wing place, right? Or a burger place, something like that. What makes yours unique? Everybody says they have the best sauce or they have whatever, but you don't want to go in an area where there's plenty. There's a lot, right? You might want to decide whether you want to do a franchise or whether you want to do your own. And again, that takes sitting down and really planning, really doing your research and finding out what works. And that's a big thing here in Nashville, actually, because you want to think about the future too. Right now, we're the foodie place of America. We're the it city. We're this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, when we normalize, when things get on an even keel, will your business sustain itself? And you have to think about that. So sometimes you do have to get out there and maybe think about doing some businesses in areas maybe you never really thought about. But again, you want to do your research. And completing both of those will help you find a competitive advantage for your small business, and that equals profitability. So I'll go a little quicker here. That involves collecting the demographic information to better understand opportunities and limitations for gaining customers. And that is important. Sometimes you want to go with just what your circle is or what you know, but there are resources out there for free even that you can literally find out what your demographic area is. You want to know this for a fact. So some of that will include the age, the wealth or the amount, the income, family, interests, anything else that's relevant to your business. And that goes for whether it be online or a bricks and mortar type business or both. Okay. So some of the questions to ask, they're kind of broken down here. You got demand. Is there a desire for your product or service? Like I said, if there's no demand for it or not a need for it, or understand that sometimes maybe people don't know there's a need, but understand that that's how much more marketing you would have to do to get that business going. So it's not always a deal breaker if maybe people don't know that they need something, but as I was told a long time ago, to invent something, a lot of times they don't win, right? They're the ones who maybe they die or whatever is after the fact. Like, for instance, the computer, the phones, and things like that. It's long after when people start really making money. So you have to decide, do you want to be that innovator to possibly not make the kind of money you want? Or do you want to just improve something and make that profitability and grow your business? So the market size that goes along with that, how many people would be interested in your offering? That's important. Economic indicators. What is the income range and employment rate? And that's what I meant by right now. Really, most of the major cities are doing very well economically. But, you know, we can debate all day long. Will it normalize? Will it not? Whatever. But just go over the history of even the world or the United States. Whether it be disaster, whether it be politics, whatever. It will... You have to think about those times. But, again, not a deal breaker. Always remember, during the Depression time, that was the most millionaires came out of that time was during the Depression. So, you think about what is needed. Sometimes you have to tweak some things. You don't always just fall in love with the initial business that you're doing. As economy changes, then you change as well. Okay. Location, where do your customers live? And where can your business reach? So that's important too. A lot of times we're going to go in our neighborhoods. Might not be feasible. Maybe you need to go on the outskirts. Maybe you need to be on downtown. Maybe you need to be whatever. That's for you to evaluate and find out. But don't just get stuck on just what you think you know. Go look it up and find out for sure. Location, we said that. Market saturation. Again, something you want to study. If everybody's doing it, at least it seems like everybody's doing it, maybe you don't need to. But sometimes you have to know the right timing of when to get in there. Maybe that is a good time to get in and go ahead and make your money. But again, becoming very strategic and adding some unique aspects of your business so you can sustain no matter what and who falls off. So don't always be quick to, they say within the first 1 to 3 years, most businesses fail. I hear different statistics, but it's around that amount of years. And a lot of that is just mismanagement, not really getting the knowledge that you needed to run a business, because it's one thing to work. And a lot of times you will go into your business being the worker, but at some point you transition to being the owner and the entrepreneur, where you're setting systems in place so your organization or your company continues to operate in spite of. Okay, so your pricing, what do potential customers pay for these alternatives? You have to know what is being paid out there. You might want to set it high, you might want to set it low. It's kind of like one of the things I learned in business early on was you kind of go around the norm, unless you're considered like a store and you're a discount store or you're a high end level store. Just because you can get something wholesale at a low price doesn't mean you only want to sell it for double that amount, right? Um, Services, the same thing. So a lot of times the higher price, the perceived value. But if you have not done the work to kind of add to that perception, then be careful with that. There's a fine line on that as well. Okay. Again, I'm just kind of giving little tidbits here, nothing in depth, but it's so much more to it. And that's why, this is my plug-in, why you get a consultant or a coach, or several, even a mentor. A lot of times mentors are free, but you do want different ones. Okay, so a few methods you can use to do research would be surveys. That's the obvious. Now we have all this social media, and you can actually do prototypes or go out there and ask people, and questionnaires, a combination of the surveys and questionnaires, focus groups. Sometimes you think things will work, but when you sit down with other people, you want to get those other opinions and understand that even if it's family sometime, that's what you have to come up against. That is the world. So, be thick-skinned and find out it's not a deal breaker, but you need to find out what you can do to change the perceptions or the thoughts of the people that you're communicating with. And if you absolutely can't, then maybe you don't need to do the business. Again, not always a deal breaker, but just be ready. It's a risk. It's a risk. It's okay. You still could get fired from your job anytime. So it's always a risk. In-depth interviews. So that kind of goes along with that same thing. Competitive analysis, we'll just jump to that. So like I said before, you do want to do your market research, but you want to do a competitive analysis. So now this is when you kind of fine tune it to what your business is. And characteristics that you want to consider will be the market share, as we mentioned before, your strengths and weaknesses. And that kind of goes along with the SWOT analysis. And we'll go into that a little bit. Your window of opportunity to enter the market. I mentioned that. The right timing is everything. The importance of your target market to your competitors. All right. Any best kind of self-explanatory. Any barriers that may hinder you as you enter the market. Self-explanatory. Indirect or secondary competitors who may impact your success. I used to hear, and I still hear people say, "Oh, I have no competition." McDonald's doesn't even say they don't have any competition. Everybody has competition, and you want to consider that. Maybe right now it's not so bad, but believe you me, someone's going to try to do something better than you, right? And that's where you have to continuously evaluate and continuously tweak and change some things and communicate even with your customers or your clients when you start your business, so you'll know that you're on the right track. All right. So the SWOT, I talked about that. For those who don't know what that is, that stands for your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And even though you do this in the beginning, this is something that maybe every quarter or at least once or twice a year that you want to do this in your business at all times. Think about the businesses that are gone out. I mean, Sears is like, okay, we're about to have a funeral for them, right? I remember there was a Hills department store. I don't know if that's all over the United States, but here in the South we had Hills department store. Thought they would never go away. And before that it was Zayres. Thought they would never go away. Now you say Zayres and people say who, especially if they're under 30 years old. They have no clue. They might not even have a clue under 40 years old what Zayres was. Walmart, don't think that's it. You never know. Our world evolves all the time. So don't get stuck on how something will never close. That's why you want to diversify as well. When your entrepreneurship, do your investments. Make sure your family is cushioned. And that's why we're talking about these 10 steps too. They're very important. Not all the time are these 10 steps, because I did these 10 steps many times. There was other factors of why I no longer have those businesses. All right. So a lot of times we have to grow. We get into bad partnerships. Fact is, it just is. All right. So your strengths. Those are usually the positive side. So your strengths and weaknesses are actually the internal to the company, right? So it's such as your reputation, patents, location, those kind of things. Opportunities and threats, they are external. So opportunities being your positive, threats being your negative. Those are the things that you can't really change. And they might be your suppliers, your competitors, prices, and certain just environmental things that are out there that you can't change. Okay, so I think we got it. Let's do this. Let's go over. So actually the 10 steps that we'll go through. Like I said, 5 will be on public live, and then I'll put the other 5 will be in a closed group. Those are for those who are either my clients, or let's sit down and talk. Let's have a consultation. Go from there as we decide what kind of package is good for you. Then at that point, I would allow you to get into the group. And so that's when I can really, really pour on the value, right? So these are just kind of quick. And like I said, tonight is the longest one. The rest of the nights will be just kind of hit or miss. You know, we'll just do like 5 or 7 minutes. I will say the first 5 are the hardest. The other 5 are not, but there are some things I would want to talk about for each one of those as well. So 1 being today, that was conduct your market research, right? 2, write your business plan. 3 will be fund your business. 4, pick your location. 5, choose your structure. 6, choose your name. 7, get tax ID number or numbers. That could be your federal. Everyone has to do the federal, but you may need to get a city or state, depending upon what kind of business and where you live. Register your business, and that kind of goes with that, right along with that. Applying for a license and permits. Again, that's depending upon what kind of business you have. And lastly, even though it seems simple, I still run into people that have not done this. Open a business bank account. Start now. Do not risk the chance of being audited and not being ready. Do not mix funds together. You never know when you can be audited, and your bank accounts will be looked at. So that is really, really important. And again, I can go way in depth with those because there's solutions on preparing for that and how to get ready. So tomorrow is write your business plan. That's the dreaded one. I'll give some resources that you can actually do it yourself. One is connected to a bank, and it's very, very simple. So even if you don't do I call it the fluff stuff, or a lot of times I don't do the professional words per se. But you can actually get someone to edit and do your business plan. But most of it needs to come from you. Quit looking for business plan writers. Just like I tell the nonprofit organizations, quit looking for grant writers. Do some things yourself first, and then they can make it look right. Okay, but they can't do anything until they know what your plans are for your business. All right, so you can go to. Well, now, for those who are looking right now, that means that you are on the A&E Coaching Group side, right? So if you are not, you go to on Facebook, A&E Coaching Group, or you can do the @ Be Aware and Empower, right? And at the same time, I'm doing YouTube. So for those of you, you can join me on Facebook, A&E Coaching Group, and we will have 4 more days. I tell you, it's a struggle for me as well. I'm still trying to be consistent, and that is so, so important. Being consistent. I know this. I can keep everybody else organized and consistent, but when it comes to me, work in progress. All right, guys. Less than 20 minutes. I did it. Yay. Okay. All right. I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. And I won't let this be as interactive as I go through. It can be a little bit more, but I want to get the information out there because I think that's what people are coming on here for. And then questions can be directly to me at another time. All right. You all have a good night, a good day for those who watch it later. And take care of yourself. Dream. Have some dreams, some visions, and share them. Talk to you later.